The cafe was silent when she whispered, her voice trembling, I can't pay for this. The waiter's eyes darted awkwardly between her and the tall man across the table, dressed in a navy blue suit that screamed wealth and power. But instead of anger or mockery, he smiled gently, pushed the bill aside, and said softly, "Don't worry, it's on me." She didn't know it yet, but this one sentence would change her life forever. It had been 6 months since Maya had left her small hometown to chase her dreams in the city. Life, however, had been far from kind. Between juggling 2 part-time jobs and her mother's hospital bills back home, every day felt like a test of endurance. So when her best friend Sana insisted on setting her up on a blind date, Maya laughed it off. "Me? Go on a date? Sana, I don't even have money for a proper meal, let alone a fancy coffee." But Sana wouldn't hear it. "You need a break, Maya. Not every man is a heartbreak waiting to happen. Just meet him, what's the worst that can happen?" After days of hesitation, Maya finally agreed. Maybe, she thought, 1 cup of coffee wouldn't hurt. The cafe was one of those elegant places that smelled like vanilla beans and success. The kind where every chair looked too expensive to sit on. As Maya stepped in, her thrift store dress and scuffed shoes suddenly felt like an insult to the place. She checked her phone nervously. The message from Sana said, "He's already there. Table 7. Good luck." Taking a deep breath, she walked over and froze. The man sitting at table 7 wasn't just handsome. He was intimidatingly perfect. Crisp shirt, silver watch, calm eyes that seemed to hold stories untold. He looked up and smiled politely. "You must be Maya." She nodded, too nervous to speak. As they started talking, Maya realized he was nothing like what she'd expected. He listened. Really listened. Not with the distracted nod of someone waiting to talk about themselves, but with the kind of patience that made her feel seen. He introduced himself as Aaron. He said he worked in business, but didn't elaborate much. Maya assumed he was just another office worker, like thousands of others in the city. Hours passed without her noticing. They laughed over silly things, how she once burned instant noodles, how he could never remember where he parked his car. But when the waiter placed the bill on the table, Maya's heart stopped. Her hands went cold. She hadn't even thought about the price. The total was more than her week's salary. Her lips parted, but no words came. I can't pay for this," she finally whispered, her voice cracking with shame. Aaron looked at her silently, then smiled warmly, kindly. He didn't mock her or make it awkward. Instead, he said the words that would etch themselves into her heart forever. "It's okay. It's on me." But that wasn't what shook her. It was what he said next. "You've already given me something far more valuable than money, your honesty." Maya blinked in disbelief. No one had ever said that to her before. As they walked out, Aaron opened the cafe door for her, and for the first time in months, Maya felt like maybe, just maybe, life wasn't done surprising her. The next morning, Maya went back to her usual life, rushing between her part-time jobs, barely making ends meet. She assumed she'd never hear from Aaron again. But that afternoon, her phone buzzed. "I had a great time yesterday. How about lunch tomorrow?" "My treat, no pressure." Maya hesitated. Why would a man like him want to see her again? Still, something inside her said she should go. When she arrived at the restaurant, she noticed something strange. People greeted Aaron with deep respect. Some even bowed slightly. And the manager rushed to personally serve their table. Confused, she asked quietly, "Do you come here often?" He chuckled. "You could say that. I own this place." Maya froze. "You own it?" Aaron nodded, his smile modest. "And a few others like it. I run a small business chain. But please, don't let that change anything between us." Her world spun. The man she thought was an ordinary date was actually a CEO millionaire. For the first time, she felt the wall between their worlds. She looked down, embarrassed. "I shouldn't be here," she murmured. "You're successful, rich, and I'm just Just what? He interrupted gently. Hardworking? Brave? Honest? That's exactly why I wanted to see you again. Tears stung her eyes. No one had ever looked at her like that before, not with pity, but with genuine admiration. They spent the next few weeks together, not as millionaire and struggling girl, but as two souls finding peace in each other's company. Maya began to laugh more, dream more. One evening, as they walked along the city park, Aaron said, "You know, the moment you said you couldn't afford the bill, I saw more strength in you than I've seen in boardrooms full of billionaires. You didn't pretend. You were real." She smiled shyly. "And that's what scared me the most." Aaron took her hand. "That's what made me fall for you." Months later, Maya got a call she never expected. Aaron offered her a position in his company, not as charity, but as someone he believed in. "You have potential, Maya. Let me help you find it." Through hard work and persistence, Maya grew from an assistant to a manager, then eventually started her own business with Aaron's mentorship. Years later, when people asked how her story began, she would smile and say, "It started with a cup of coffee I couldn't afford and a man who believed I was worth more than the bill." Sometimes, life tests you not to show your weakness, but to reveal your strength. Honesty, humility, and kindness can open doors that money never could.